Morning, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope y'all doing okay today. So, I wanted to tell you a story about one of the dumber automotive decisions I'd ever made. Oh, good grief. This would have been back in 2011, maybe 2012. This part of it's not the stupid part. I decided to buy a 2000 I think it was an '02 Ford Ranger. It had the big V6. It was the overhead cam motor, for those of y'all that are interested. Four-wheel drive. Unfortunately, it was automatic. And it was the extended cab with the step-side bed. Fun enough little truck. It had all the towing capacity and performance of a V6 with the fuel consumption of a V8. But I love that little truck. Great fun. I got into off-roading a little bit with it. And one time, now, I was making a payment on that thing. One time I found these trails off-road near where I lived at the time. You were out in the middle of nowhere, kind of, and you ended up going under a railroad track and, oddly enough, under an interstate. And then you ended up in this little creek, and there was evidence that all sorts of people had been off-roading there. I had gone back there several times, just having fun, splashing around a little bit, having fun. Well, one time in particular, I'd picked up the woman who I was dating at the time. I picked up her niece and nephew, and we went back there, and I'm like, I'm getting home a little early. I have time to show them this, so I'll show them the creek. Go back there, and I show them all the little spots and whatnot. And I'd been back there several times by this point. And I decided I'd go a little further down, and I went down to the point where I knew it got deep. Deeper than I could reasonably safely go in my truck. But I stopped before it went down there, because you could see the water rippling, and then right where I stopped, it just went glass smooth. That's where I stopped. And you could tell it got 2-3 feet deep, and I didn't know what kind of water fording ability that thing had, but I knew it was expensive to find out, so I didn't do it. So get to that point, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what I can show you, and this is as far as this truck goes, so we're done. Put it in reverse, and the silt under the front tires gives when I start backing up, and the front sinks a little bit. I try getting out. I end up getting the intake into the water, and I sink in a little bit, and I'm in 2.5, maybe 3 foot of water in this little Ranger. Sink in just enough, get water up in the engine, it shuts off. Water came up to, would have been maybe a little bit more water than that, because it was just over the corner of the hood on the driver's side, but it was at a goofy angle. So I didn't get water everywhere. in the truck. But it's not going anywhere. Phone got wet. I think I ended up saving that, but it got wet and shut itself off. I walk not even a mile. I had a friend that was living close to there at the time. I walk to his place. He proceeds to laugh at me, make a phone call, get help coming, go where I've got to go that evening. I had another car. Dad comes out to pick me up, and he's fit to be tied. I can't believe you did that to your nice little truck. I just can't believe you did that. I told you, you don't off-road like that, what you're making a payment on, and on and on and on and on and on it went. So, we get his F-150, what's now my work truck, pull it out. Get it hooked up, and we flat tow the thing home. Rope. Get home, put a set of spark plugs in it, I drained the oil and the 1.5 gallons of water out of it. Put a set of spark plugs in it. When they were out, I rolled it over and knocked the water out of the cylinders. And proceed to also put an air filter and a couple other odds and ends on it. And eventually I get it to fire. I ended up frying a fuel pump relay. Get the thing going. And because I'm an idiot, I didn't think to drain every fluid out of the thing right then and there. So I take the thing out and I cruise it for a little bit. My thought was I'll get it warm. I'll get all I have no idea what's making that noise when I make that turn, folks. I'm not even going that fast. But my thoughts were, I'll get the engine warm, whatever water may have gotten circulated around, I'm going to get it warm enough to evaporate that out. Life will be good. I didn't think that I had every vent tube underwater. Only one of them caused me problems. So, after I drive the thing, I take it to my work, which was a car dealership at the time, park it in the basement, gut the interior with the exception of the dash, and I'm getting water out of everywhere I can. I'm also pressure washing everything in the interior, carpets and such. Because it had an odor. Get all that done, driving the truck, all of a sudden four-wheel drive decides it's not working. And occasionally I need four-wheel drive due to cutting grass. I need to be able to snatch my mower out of places. So, four-wheel drive module went out. One of the mechanics at work helped me diagnose that. Get that done. We're four-wheel drive again. I got all the fluids on the truck flushed. Dropped the transmission, did a fluid change there, and then I also did a flush to get everything out of the valve body and torque converter, and we got strawberry milkshake out all the way around. Did a T-case and diff services. Those weren't terrible. So, where it started getting interesting in this truck is about 8 to 10 months later, the transmission decided it was going to shift weird. It had the 5R55 S or W transmission. I think it was the S. I don't remember. But it's the same transmission, just different gearing. And it would at anything under, say, 40% throttle input, it would shift 1, 3, 4, 5. But when you had your foot on the accelerator, it would wind up to wherever it was going to shift, fail to shift, and start flashing every check engine light and trans light imaginable, and not shift. So you'd have to shift right before that. So you'd have to get right before that point, lift. It would go into third, fourth, and fifth. If you floored it, it would shift 1, 2, 4, 5. So when you got to the top of second gear, it would climb up to the rev limiter and just sit there. So you'd have to lift right then you could put your foot back in it to keep accelerating. And the only time you ever did that was like getting on the interstate. There's a couple short ramps around here where you kind of need some power. Well, anyway, I'm hobbling this Ranger along on 4 out of 5 gears one way or another. Still moving. And what was funny is I knew the Ranger was kind of a silly truck from the numbers, but I enjoyed the little truck, so we're moving. We're moving. Then one day at random, I'm heading into work, and I took a little bit of a different route this time. I lived kind of in the city center on the second busiest road where it was very well maintained. I was a little worried about the winter weather this year, and I had good tires on the little truck. It was 4-wheel drive. So I'd take a different route into work, going a little bit of a back road. I'm coming up to a intersection, all of a sudden, kerplunk! What in the world? Okay. Well, put my foot on the gas, go to take off, and it wants to shift like immediately. Go ahead and lift, let it shift. I figure I might have been spinning tires. I was in 2-wheel drive. I look at the speedometer, and like I haven't been moving at all, hardly, and it says I'm doing 30. Get out on the main road where it's clear and I know I'm not going to spin. Same story. The speedometer's reading high. It shifted the motor, the shift motor shorted, and it shifted itself into 4 low without the vehicle knowing that it was in 4 low. So the funny part about this is now, since the speedometer doesn't know, it's reading high, so I can barely keep up with 45-mile-an-hour traffic, and the truck reads 93 and is pinging against the fuel shutoff. That was fun. Well, I end up getting to work. I think I took the shift motor off, got a pair of vice grips or channel locks, spun the T-case back to 2-wheel drive so I can drive the thing home. Got a shift motor a couple days later, threw it on. It's just a couple bolts and a quick connect, pretty easy to do. And that truck was just constantly one thing or another, like power windows went out. I think there was another gremlin lurking somewhere. I had to, this is above my level of expertise, but one of the things I had to do is I ended up having to get the diff gone through twice because it started leaking oil out of the axle seals. So it was just constantly a nickel and diamond thing. There's no telling how much money I've got that I ended up tying up in that truck before it got wrecked. It was just a nightmare of a thing. So, but yeah, a little Ranger that I flooded myself and all the nightmare that ensued from that. So that's what I got on this one, folks. If you're making a payment on it, don't be completely stupid like I was. Y'all take care. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.